and events subsequent to that will be within your recollection. Now, President Nasser, the first thing I want to ask is this. Britain now, President Nasser.
Well, I'm sorry about the period of the bad relations between Britain and Egypt, and we hope that both countries work for good relations in order to be friendly again.
Do you want to resume normal diplomatic relations?
I think that is the duty of each country. We have to return to the normal relations.
I ask you about American policy now. What is your attitude to that, especially the Eisenhower doctrine for preventing the spread of communism in the Middle East?
Well, we look to the American policy in connection with nationalism in the Middle East, because we feel that what is dominating in the Middle East now is nationalism, not communism. There is no spread of communism in the Middle East after the revolution. If the Americans insist that nationalism is communism and try to stand against nationalism, thinking that they are standing against communism, they will turn the nationalism to be communism. Because nationalism is an open movement. Communism is underground movement. If they attack nationalism and try to stand against nationalism, the result will be turning nationalism to underground communism movement.
You don't allow communism to subside Egypt, do you?
Well, according to my information, my experience during the last 5 years, I think that communism was neutralized in Egypt because of adopting nationalist policy. Because the people are aiming of their national aspirations. If they feel that they are not able to adopt and fulfill their national aspirations, they come underground and form communist elements. Now, because of the national policy of Egypt, I think that the communist movement was neutralized.
Well, can you explain to people who watch this interview why it is that you fight communism at home and yet appear to work very closely with it in your foreign policy?
Well, communism at home, local communism, is illegal.
In Egypt?
In Egypt, yes. But dealing with Russia is another thing. Our policy is the policy of non-alignment.
Non-alignment?
Non-alignment.
Similar to that of India, do you mean?
Similar, yes, to that of India. We want to have trade relations and commercial relations with all the world. We want to be friendly to all the world. We want to participate in the case of peace. We want to participate in the decrease of the Cold War. We want to cooperate with the world to avoid war.
Do you feel you are running any risks if Russia strengthens its foothold in the Middle East?
Well, of course, we are against any domination in the Middle East.
Now, you've often been criticized in the West for spending money on armaments, which might have been devoted to improving the Egyptian standard of living. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, building an army which would be able to defend Egypt is not at all spending money on heavy armaments. We have to defend our country against aggression. We were saying that always. We declare that we are not aiming aggression, but we have to defend our territory against aggression. And you know that aggression was against us. We were attacked by Israel, by Britain and France, of course, in the same time.
Isn't it arguable, though, that if there was a state of war with Israel, that her attack was merely a continuation of the state of war and not a separate act of aggression?
But there was an armistice in the same time. An armistice is transition period between state of war and the end of war.
You say that needing arms to combat aggression, but why is it that Egypt should need 3 large Russian submarines?
Well, you know, when we made our arms deal, we asked for submarines. We want to build up our navy as we build our army and air force. We asked for the submarines. And why not we have submarines?
Well, Israel has interpreted this as a further threat to Israeli shipping. Is that a fair interpretation?
Israel is always interpreting everything to make noise and propaganda in order to deceive the Western world. They want to isolate the Arabs from the Western countries. So they have to raise their voice and make this noise. If you follow the Israeli propaganda, they take each incident to make from it a big cause.
Have they to refuse Israeli shipping the right to go through the Suez Canal?
Well, really, we cannot isolate the passing of the Israeli shipping in the Suez Canal from the whole Palestine problem. We realize now in the Western countries that they are concentrating on the passing of the Israeli ships through the Suez Canal, neglecting the other problems. I mean the rights of the Arabs of Palestine who were expelled from their territory. The Arabs have the rights to return to their homes, to return to their territory as it was decided by the United Nations. Israel is asking to use the Suez Canal. According to the Constantinople Convention of 1888, Article 10, Egypt has the right to defend herself and defend her territory. According to this article, we stopped the Israeli ships from using the Suez Canal from 1948 until now.
Are you going to go on doing that?
Well, we feel that this is apart from the Palestine.
Well, now, you say that you cannot isolate this question, but
yes.
As you remember, the Security Council, you'll remember, did in 1951 when it ruled that the interference with Egyptian shipping, and I quote, cannot be justified on the grounds that it is necessary for self-defense.
Well, on 1951 in the Security Council, they said that stopping the Israeli shipping from using the Suez Canal is not in the spirit of the arms agreement. We take it as a legal question. We say that we have the right.
Well, then, if you take it as a legal question, are you prepared to accept a ruling on the matter by the International Court of Justice?
We said that in our declaration about the Suez Canal.
Now, it's frequently been said of you, President Nasser, that you want to see the destruction of Israel as a state. Is that true?
Well, you can read my speeches, you can read all my statements. We said that we have to defend our territory against aggression, and we insist about gaining the rights of the Arabs of Palestine, the 1 million refugees. That's what I said. There is a difference between the rights of the Arabs of Palestine and the destruction of Israel. I don't believe in war, and I don't believe that any small country can raise war, because we cannot neglect the whole public opinion and the world morale, and we cannot gamble a big war.
Well, one quotation which is used against you, President Nasser, is this, that in a telegram, for instance, to President Kuwaitli of Syria in December 1955, you said this: Egypt will be glad when her army and that of Syria meet on the ruins of this treacherous people. Now, is that implying the destruction of Israel?
Is it true? Are you sure of this telegram?
Those are the words
we can
I've
see
seen.
it after the...
All right. But you
this
think that may be an unfair translation?
Of course.
Well, then, is it now, as a permanent fact, the existence of Israel as an independent sovereign state?
Well, we don't recognize Israel because there is a problem between us.
Well, that is a diplomatic matter, but do you
Yes.
accept the permanent fact of its existence as an independent sovereign state?
Well, it is. You are jumping to conclusions.
No, I'm asking a question. I'm asking a question. I appreciate, President Nasser, that you don't recognize Israel, but that surely is purely a diplomatic technicality. Are you prepared to accept the existence of Israel as an independent sovereign state, apart from the question of frontiers?
Well, Israel to us is a problem, because Israel to us now is a Palestine problem. We are aiming to solve the problem of the refugees. We are insisting and we are calling to give the Palestine refugees their rights, their territory and their land and their homes. We don't recognize Israel. We feel that the Israeli problem is problem of Israel and the problem of the Palestinians. We said before that we are ready to accept the United Nations resolutions of 1947 That's to give the Arabs their rights and to give